Let's go ahead and click in. And now it's time to begin. Ooh. Let's adjust you over a little. There we go. That's beautiful. They can see, you can see, everybody can see. And it's time for us to get started. All right. There. Let's adjust you. There we go. Move it to the side a little bit. All right, good. I hope y'all are ready. Today's going to be a fun one. All right. I know JJ's ready. I see a couple of others are ready. Good. Let's go ahead and kick off. Yeah. All right, guys. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the very best part of your entire week. And today might even be a life-changing day for you here on Live with Jack. Hello, I am Jack. This is Live with Jack number 108. And today I'm going to be telling you a personal story about my time as a homeless busker. Well, quasi-homeless busker. I'll get into the story in a little bit. And some of the life and love lessons that I learned throughout that time. But before we begin, if you'd like to truly enjoy today's story time, if you would like to reach the height of humanity, the culmination of all of civilization, all you need to do is grab your glass, your mug, or your flask, a chalice, a stein, or even a cask. Raise it high. Let's make a splash. It's time now for our libation bash. Toast the night and enjoy the mood. Together now, we drink some booze. On your mark, let's not wait. It's cheers with chaps, so don't be late. Cheers, boys. Oh, that's so good. Today I got the Big Wave from the Kona Brewing Company. I love these beers. They're so delicious. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and jump into it. So, today's lesson, the life and love lessons that I learned while being a quasi-homeless musician, also known as how I managed to procure pussy without a penny in my pocket. What an awesome title. That's a good one, isn't it? I like that title. Let's go ahead and jump straight into this so that I can tell you a bit about this story and how I came to learn these things. So, background. How did I end up being semi-homeless? Well, this is a little over a decade ago, so this is a while back. And due to some circumstances that I had to sign an NDA for, and I'm not allowed to disclose, I ended up leaving the job that I was working at. And I didn't want to get another shitty job. So I just decided, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to hang out, have a good time, and wait for a good job opportunity to come along. And then once I find that, then I'll take that gig instead. But I don't want to just work anywhere. So I decided to pack up my shit and be a musician instead. And throughout that time, it was about, 8-9 months, something like that. Throughout that time, I didn't have a job at all, and I was only making a living by playing music on the street. And I got my guitar out there, and I would get out and I would sing. And during that time, it was maybe one of the most exciting and fun times of my entire life because I had no responsibilities other than just to myself. And I had a ton of fun. I got to experiment with my creativity. I got to experiment with my music, and I got to experiment and try things with girls, because once you get to the point where you just decide, fuck it, jobs, worlds, even homes, not important, I don't care, then the girls really become secondary. And that frees you mentally to allow you to try different things, try new things, and see what works and see what doesn't. So during that time, I tried a lot of different things regarding women. I was trying online dating. I was trying in-person approaching, and I was definitely pulling girls from whenever I would play music. And they all worked to different degrees, but we're going to go into that a little bit more during this. So, situation here is I am unemployed or fun employed, really, living as a busker, broke as shit. I managed to rent out like basically a walk-in closet in some dude's apartment for like a few $100 a month, just cash in hand, no deposits, no contracts, nothing like that. So I technically had a place to stay, but I definitely didn't have my own place. And it was a tenuous situation, to be sure. However, I was still able to meet women. I was still able to get laid. I was still able to have dates. How? Well, that brings us to the first lesson that I learned. And this one is one of the most important things and that I've carried with me through the rest of my life and through everything else that I've done, which is excitement trumps stability. A lot of guys think that women are looking for somebody who's stable, who has their shit together, who has, insurance with a dental plan and their own 401k and all this stuff. And like, yes, those things are nice later on, but they aren't attractive to women. They're good husband qualities, but husband qualities are not good boyfriend qualities. And the girls aren't interested in hearing about your 401k or your investment strategy or whatever else. They want excitement and they want it now. And so one of the first things that I figured out was that they were drawn to this excitement, to this fun, to this something new, something interesting, something different. And that was always unexpected to me because while I've never exactly been the prettiest belle at the ball, at this time I was busted. Okay. I had not cut my hair in over a year. I had a beard, like a full Rasputin beard. I had a Mujahideen beard, and it was down to like my tits, and it was nasty, ratty. It looked like a bird's nest. Didn't matter. None of it mattered. Why? Because it was exciting, because it was something different. And girls were drawn to me because of the universal appeal of something new, something different, something special, something that makes me, in this case, stand out, something that they've never met someone like this before. Yeah, maybe they've been on a date with a banker or a lawyer or a doctor or a teacher or whatever, but they've never dated a busker. And they've definitely never dated a homeless busker. So that's something new. That's something interesting. That's something exciting. And here's the thing. Whenever you're exciting, whenever you're different in any way, right? Whether it's with the pink hat, like I was showing you last week, or whether it's with, something that you're wearing or something that you're doing or something you're making or some way that you're presenting yourself, however it is that you are exciting, this is new to her. That's the whole point, is that it's new to her. And you can use that to create a story. Because that's really what you're doing. Whenever you're trying to attract girls with this uniqueness, this newness, this excitement, is you are creating and you are selling a story. You need to sell the story because this is what girls want, right? They don't want to, if somebody says like, oh, how did you two meet? They want to have a story. They don't want it to be like, oh, well, we were in the same class and he said hi and I said you'll do, right? Like that's not interesting. That doesn't grab them. But if there's a story to it, if the story is, yeah, actually I saw him playing music on the street and then I found out that he was, living as a busker, and he took me to this nasty little dive bar called Orange Tree, and we got so drunk on the cheapest, shittiest beer that we could find. And like, you're selling a story. You're creating something for them to remember, for them to latch onto. And this is important because I've talked about this before, but you always want to be the one who she remembers. This goes for on the weekend, right? If you're out, you're talking to girls, you get numbers, you're chatting with them. Maybe even you get a kiss from one girl, right? But maybe you're not the only guy who she kisses that night. You still want to be the one who she remembers. And here's the thing, on situations like this where you're trying to get repeat business, where you're trying to build something up over a longer period of time, you still want to be the one who she remembers because other guys are trying to get her to come around, right? And You can't be there to play goalie all the time. You have to let her do things. But if you're the one who's the most exciting, if you're the one who's the most attractive to her, then she'll keep coming back around to you. It's the moment that you get boring, that you get routine, that you lose that excitement and that attraction, that she leaves and finds somebody else who can provide that. So you're creating a story through all of this excitement. I'm trying to think if I can give you guys examples of some of these things while I'm going through this. Okay. Maybe at the end, maybe whenever we bring Julius and Antonio on, then we can go into story time. Let me get through the lesson bit first. So, or the story, right? So the next thing here is that you set the expectations and she follows. This was a really big breakthrough moment for me mentally, because I was under the impression that women don't want to date a guy who's broke, right? They don't want no scrubs. A scrub is a guy who can't get no love from them, right? I thought that girls would really just run away if I didn't have my own place, if I didn't even have money, right? I was like, hey, you're buying beers tonight. Come on, it'll be fun. But the fact that I started to set expectations meant that it worked out really well for me. What happened? What I started doing is I would just tell them up front what the situation was. I would completely own the circumstances. I'd say, yeah, listen, right now I'm not working. I'm a street musician. What do you do? What's your job? Oh, okay, cool. That's a good job, right? Well, that's good news for both of us then, because that means somebody has enough money to buy our drinks tonight. So you're up. And whenever I would set these expectations, the girls would just follow along. They wouldn't push back. They wouldn't resist. They wouldn't complain. They wouldn't bitch and moan. Nothing. They would just say, oh, okay, yeah, sure. I got it. Absolutely. Why? Because I asked for it, because I set the expectations, because I owned the circumstances, and because I made it feel natural. I made it feel like it's just what happens next. This is just the next step, right? We're both here. We both want beer. We both know that I'm broke as a joke. So you're up, baby girl. Buy us some beers. And every single time they did it. Sometimes even without me asking. Some girls would actually call and order delivery food to my home when she wasn't even there, right? Julius, you remember Bear, right? Sometimes Bear would just have food delivered to my little like closet room. Whenever it was like rainy out, and she's like, yeah, I know you're not out playing music today, so I just figured you're probably hungry, and so I had some food sent over. Fuck yeah. Good job, Bear. I like that. That's nice. They just knew it was what happened next. They didn't care about the circumstances. They just wanted to know what they were, and they wanted to feel comfortable with it. They feel comfortable whenever you feel comfortable with it. So if you own the circumstances, own the situation completely, and you communicate it clearly, then they get it and they will follow along. Now, will every girl do that? No, of course not. This is why it's important to understand the different types and to learn how to build your system correctly to attract the right types of girls who are going to be able to do things like that. Because if you or anyone you know ever finds themselves in a situation like this, you need to know who it is that you're trying to meet and how to build your system to be able to attract and meet those girls. If you do not know how to do that yet, all you need to do is click the link in the top of the description below right now, and you can schedule a free call with me where I will go through the types with you. We'll figure out what your strategy looks like, how it is that you can start finding and meeting and keeping the types of girls who you want to actually meet and take control of your love life. Now, the next thing that we want to talk about here, this is a really important one. This is a big one. And a lot of guys don't quite get this, but she's dating future you. She's not dating you now. You think she's dating you now. She's not. She's absolutely not. She is, if you're dating, if you're in some kind of relationship, she's already thinking a year, 5 years, 10 years down the line. And that's who she's dating now. She wants to know, is this the kind of guy who's going to be able to do something with his life, to build something? Or is he just a dude who's like, yeah, I'm just going to, work some shitty retail 9 to 5 job, and then I'm going to go home and play PlayStation for 6 hours every single day with no variance whatsoever. This is just the thing that I do. And I'm never going to be able to make anything. I'm never going to be able to build anything. I'm not going to do that thing because that's just not who I am. She wants to date future you, not who you are now, because today's busker is tomorrow's rock star. Now, there's no guarantee of that, of course, but it actually doesn't matter, because your passion that you show whenever you do things like this, whenever you're building stuff, whenever you're doing things, whenever you're going out and trying new things and just saying fuck the world and trying stuff to see what works, that shows a lot of passion, and that is way more important than whatever your current finances are. The reason for this is because somebody who has a job can have a job, but they can also lose the job. Maybe they get replaced by AI. Maybe the market crashes, whatever. But somebody who has passion will always find a way to make shit work. And that's a really important thing. So this is why a lot of times girls will date future you. And if you're showing passion, if you're doing things, then she will absolutely love it, even if your current situation is shit like mine was. And here's another important part of this to show the passion, because we always show, we don't tell, right? You should always have a project, some kind of project, something that you're working on, something that you're doing, something that you're building. Whenever I was busking, yeah, I was going out and busking and getting money and getting drunk, absolutely. But also, I was writing songs, and I was writing an album, and I was recording at home, and I had all my equipment set up, and I was creating music videos, and I was putting things out there. I had a project, things that I was working on, and that was immensely attractive to girls, because the fact is that making things is really cool. Girls love guys who make things, who do things, and it almost doesn't matter what it is that you're doing, whether you're writing music or creating songs, or if you're solo designing a video game, or if you're creating the world's greatest stamp collection, or whatever it is that you're doing. If you have things that you're making, that you're creating, that you're building, that you're putting together, if you're showing passion for things and ability and skill, then she's going to love it. She's absolutely going to be sold, even if right now you suck. Because the fact is that at some point, Amazon was run out of Bezos's garage. He was just a dude. He was like, fuck it. I have a computer and I have a ton of books. Let's sell them. Microsoft was nothing, right? At some point, people who build things build things. She's taking a bet on you. She's taking a gamble on you that you will be able to build something better than what you have now, that you'll be able to create new circumstances for yourself and your life and the world around you. And that's absolutely true. Here's another thing, is that whenever you're engaging with creativity, whenever you're engaging with the world, whenever you're doing things, you're talking to people, you're working on stuff, you are creating things, that is so much better than conformity. If you just do the bare minimum to get by, as in just I work a job and then that's it, and then I come home and I watch Netflix and I eat a TV dinner or whatever, and there's nothing else, no extra hobbies, nothing interesting, nothing cool, nothing fun, nothing that you're building, that's pure conformity. However, if you flip that on its head and you say, yeah, I work a job because I need to pay the bills, or in my case, I didn't, right? But you work the job, and then as soon as you're done with the job, you're doing other stuff. You have hobbies, you have friends, you're going out, you're doing things that are unexpected, that she's never seen before, that she's never tried before. You're out there creating a world and engaging with the world. That is immensely attractive because it's exciting, right? And it's really, really cool. So if you want to be cool, start making things, start projects, do stuff, create things. And it, like I said, it doesn't matter what it is. Girls love this stuff. So go out there and create stuff, live that life, and you can create with her visions of the future. She needs to be able to see a potential reality where you succeed at whatever it is that you're doing. If she can see you busking and then she says, you know what though? This guy, he's not great, but he's probably good enough that he could get a record deal. He could make something. He could create a YouTube channel. He could teach guitar online. He could build a business. He could build an empire on that. He could, just be a silly performing musician, like a Jack Black style thing. Yeah, absolutely. If she can envision a future where you're turning what it is that you're doing and making into something successful, then she is absolutely on board. You know why? Because 99% of women don't have that. And if we're being honest, 90% of men also don't have that. They don't have those projects, those hobbies, the things that they're building and doing. So doing that stuff sets you apart. Doing that stuff is exciting, whatever it is you're building. So get out there and do stuff. That makes you cool. The next thing that I learned, this one is so important, and I've talked about it in many other circumstances as well, in a lot of other videos and lessons, but logistics are king. Logistics are the most important thing in dating. If you have a shitty little hovel, a shitty little basement apartment, but it's 5 minutes away, that is better than having a mansion, but it's 2 hours away. So whenever I would have girls around, I had to bring them to the area where my place was set up. And because it was nearby, because it was near the station, because it was near where I was playing, it was near the parks and stuff like that, I was able to turn dates and Insta dates into fun, sexy times immediately just because it was right there. When you're that close, when your logistics are solid, then it takes a lot of the decision making out. Why? Well, I mean, there are a lot of reasons. Like, first of all, it's just more convenient. It's easier to say yes to it. But another thing is that she feels comfortable. She already knows the area. She feels safe. She didn't have to travel a long distance. You're not out in the fucking countryside where you can just bury her body or some weird shit, right? Girls get scared about these things, and with good reason. So being nearby, being close is absolutely crucial. So close is always better than fancy. Another thing that you can use here regarding the logistics is reframes. So the place where I was staying was crappy, right? It was absolute dog shit. And most of the girls that I brought back, I couldn't even bring them inside because if the other people were there, then I couldn't bring them in. Maybe I could have, like there wasn't a rule against it, but I was already in a pretty precarious situation and I did not want to get kicked out. So I wouldn't even bring them in. What I would do is I would bring them up to the rooftop. And I had set up blankets and pillows up there and a small cooler. And we would bring beer and soju and food. And we would go and we would have a rooftop picnic. Now, I would sell this to her as like, hey, listen, I have a really great idea. Let's go have a picnic in a place that has a great view of the city. She, yeah, that sounds great. Framing is important, right? And as I'm about to get to, presentation, how you present something makes or breaks deals. Most of the time, the way that you say something, the way that you present it can completely alter the response that you get. So whenever I would present this as, hey, let's go have a picnic at a place that has a great view of the city. It's outside. The weather's perfect right now. We can go up there. We can get some beer and some soju, and we can go up to the rooftop and hang out there. They would come. And here's the thing is that we would just bang up there on the roof and they didn't care, right? I never got any resistance. I never got any pushback. I never got any, oh, this is really weird. Is like, are you poor? Is this even your place? I never got any of those. All that I got was, wow, this is cool. This is unique. This is exciting. You can also reframe things as the rooftop picnic with my ratty blanket and shitty pillows and like little baby cooler. It's crappy, right? But it's not crappy. It's comfortable. It's something, it's just, it's just me and you, right? Like this is so personal. If it were fancy, if it were like a hotel room is so impersonal and expensive. And I don't have the money for that, but I don't need to say that part. A hotel room is so impersonal, right? Let's be comfortable. Let's feel more personal. Let's connect. And that's how you can reframe something and you can sell it with a better presentation than it really is. Another thing, you guys have probably heard, necessity is the mother of invention. That phrase, well, here's the thing, is the only thing better than necessity is horniness. And horniness absolutely will spur you on to create new ways to make things happen. Because whenever you are bored, broke, and horny, you'll find a way to make that thing work, whether that's the rooftop blankets, whether that's it costs you a 6-pack to stay over, which is something that I used at this time. Whenever girls would want to come back over again, I would tell them, okay, well, listen, first time was free, but after that, it costs you a 6-pack. So make sure you show up with beer. And because I was setting expectations and owning the circumstances, they would just do it. They would just show up and bring beer, which is perfect. I loved it. It was great. But you'll find ways to make this happen. So use that fuel, use that evil in you that, whenever you haven't banged for a while and you got those heavy balls and you're like, I need to find somebody to hook up with, right? Okay, cool. Awesome. Use that fuel, use that energy to push you forward, to create new things, to come up with new ways to sell this thing, right? Whatever it is, whether it's living out in the sticks like I had to after this, or whether it's, selling the rooftop picnics because, well, don't have anywhere else to go, or whether it's finding girls on the street, even though you look like a fucking hobo, right? You'll find a way to make it work in your favor if you use that fuel, that energy to push you forward, and understand that you got to try it and figure it out. You're probably going to fail a lot of times. That's okay. Doesn't matter. I don't need to succeed every time. I only need to succeed once. And then, hey, I did it. Great. My dick's happy with me again. Terrific. And then repeat. Try again. Cool. But now we know something that works. Good. Let's iterate on it. Let's figure it out. Use that fuel to push you forward. The next one here. Status beats looks and money. Now, I already mentioned earlier that at this time, I was looking bad. The big beard. I had my hair was so gross and like stringy and weird. Probably had scurvy or something from not eating properly. But it didn't matter, because even though I was broke and I looked awful, girls were still interested in me, especially whenever I was playing the music. So this is, there was a significant difference here. Whenever I would approach girls on the street, like if I were on my way there, or I would talk to them on the subway or something like that, then they were not interested at all. They were like, this guy, he's crazy. We're not dealing with him. Okay. But the second that I set up and I started playing music, everything changed. Everything shifted, because it gave me a level of status, a very, very small level of status, mind you, right? Like, this is literally, this guy's so poor that he's having to play music and beg for money, right? But he's playing music in public. That is a little bit of status. And that small amount of status completely made up for my looks and my lack of money. Completely made up for it. Because whenever I was approaching girls on the street beforehand, I would get rejected every single time, right? 0% success rate. Absolutely blown out of the water. But the second that I started playing music, what I would do is I would bring them into the experience. And this worked probably about 90% of the time. What I would do is whenever I was playing a song, like, you guys know the shitty Bruno Mars song, Just the Way You Are, right? So that was really popular at the time. That should tell you how long ago this was, right? That song was really popular at the time. And so what I would do is I would play the song and I would sing it. We're having fun. I'm bouncing around and the girls are coming around. Everybody's watching. We've got a little bit of a crowd going. And then I would get to the end of the song. And before I finished it, I would just pause and I'd stop and I'd point to one girl and say, hey, yeah, girl in the pink, what's your name? My name's Minji. Like, okay, cool. Perfect. And then jump back into the song. Minji, you're amazing, just the way you are. And then this was the kicker, is while everybody's clapping, I'd reach into my pocket, pull out my phone. I already had it on the dialer screen, like I've told you guys to do. I would unlock it. It's on the dialer screen, and I'd just hand it to her while the crowd is still clapping, the chord is still ringing out, and the whole crowd would watch her. Everybody would go quiet, and they're just watching to see what she does, to see if she puts the number in. And then she would. And the whole crowd would cheer and clap. And yeah, Jack, go get some. Woo! Right? They were part of it, and she was part of the experience. So this goes back to this bit, right? Selling a story. Listen, if I ended up marrying that girl or something, one of those girls, then they would have an amazing story for how we met, right? And that brings them in. Now, she's definitely not going to forget me or that experience because it's a once in a lifetime. It's a totally weird and rare thing, and it's unique and it's exciting and it's fun. And because she'll never forget me, she was already in. She had already forgotten how busted looking I was. She'd already completely forgotten about my beer belly. She'd completely forgotten about the ratty bird's nest beer. Completely forgot about it because she was seeing past that. One of the mistakes that men make is they think that women judge men the same way that we judge women, but they don't at all. Looks matter, right? Anybody who tells you that looks don't matter at all is lying, right? But the fact is that women see past your appearance. Women see more than just what you look like. They see your personality, they see your style, they see your excitement levels, they see your energy levels, and they respond very well to that. So you should use this fact to your advantage. Use the fact that they see past your looks. Yeah, you should, take care of yourself a bit, look decent, right? Because it's going to make everything easier for you. The better you look, the easier all the rest of the stuff is. But regardless of how you look, you can still get past that with just increased effort on the other side of things, right? So use that. These girls cared more about my status, about the experience, about the excitement than they did about my looks or the fact that I was completely broke. Now, this is another really important thing, and this goes both for performance and for just everything in life. Popularity begets more popularity. So whenever I was playing music, one of the things that I would do to get a crowd is I would start by playing some Korean songs that they would know, some high energy Korean songs, and they'd be walking by and they'd see this wild looking foreigner singing old Korean songs from the 70s and 80s. And like, what the fuck is going on here? And they would stop because they're curious, because they're interested. And as soon as some people stopped, as soon as one or two stopped, then 5 or 6 would also stop because they're curious. What are they seeing that I'm not seeing? I want to know. I want to see what's going on here. And they would stop. And then because 5 or 6 stopped, then 10 or 12 more would stop. And before you know it, I had completely blocked off the road, which we got in trouble for a lot of times. We got the police called on us like almost every day because of this shit. But they would stop because popularity begets more popularity. As soon as somebody's interested in something, then more people become interested in the thing because somebody else saw something cool in it and they want to know what it is. They don't want to miss the experience. FOMO is very real. And so if you can use something like that, if you can use not the actual performance thing, right? You're free to use that if you like, but the concept applies to everything else as well. Something that other people already like, then people will be more inclined to like it. This is what social proof is. This is why whenever you go to a bar where the bartender already knows you by name, or the doormen know you and let you in, that does a lot of heavy lifting for you because it's social proof. It's proof that like, hey, this guy hangs out and he's cool and people actually like him. I want to hang out and be cool and people like me, so I should hang out with this guy, right? Yeah, great. Good. Use things like that to demonstrate, to show, again, not tell, that you're popular, that you're cool, that people like you, because the more of that you have naturally, then the more people will just like you and want to be around you. So understand that popularity begets more popularity and use social proof to grow. Now, here's another important thing is that everybody wants to feel chosen. So whenever you are just approaching indiscriminately on the street, you're approaching 100 girls in a night, right? You're just every girl, you like a pinball, ding, 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 ding. Anybody will do. Then nobody's really going to give you much attention because they don't feel chosen. They just feel next, right? And that's not interesting. But like in the story that I gave you a minute ago, Minji felt chosen specifically because out of the crowd of 40 or 50 people, I singled her out. I chose her over all the others, and I wanted to get her phone number so that I could take her on a date. She felt special. She felt chosen. So if you can find a way to use this to make somebody feel like they've been specifically chosen for something about them. Now, in Minji's case, or in any of those cases, right, they aren't going to feel that it's that personal because It's just like, well, you're pretty and you're there, basically. But even still, they feel more special than the other 49 people in the crowd who didn't get chosen. That is powerful. That gives them almost a need to reciprocate. You're giving them something before you even ask for anything. You're giving them that emotional high of being special, of being chosen. And if you can find a way to make that happen, then they will always feel better for it, and you'll increase your chances of success by a ton. This is another reason why guys they make a mistake of saying, I can't approach a girl if she's in a group, right? Two girls, or she's with a friend, or she's in a group of 3, 4 friends, something like that. Listen, you can do it. You can approach her, because if you approach and you actually do it well, you entertain the group a little bit, and then you choose that girl, she's gonna feel more special. She's going to feel chosen. Now, you might miss your shot, but it still increases your chances by a lot if you can give her that feeling, right? So make her feel chosen. She will absolutely love it. And the last thing that I want to touch on here, this is a really important thing. And this is a live lesson that I've carried through, and I use it on everything that I do. When in doubt, double down. When I had to quit my job, or whenever I had to leave, I was asked to resign. When that happened, I could have just gone with my tail between my legs, wah, 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 and then got another shitty job. Fuck that. I doubled down. I decided to fuck off and just do music. And then whenever that wasn't working out very well, okay, cool. Well, I'm not selling any songs and nobody's watching my YouTube stuff. Fuck it. Double down. Rent out a space and just live as a busker while we try to make this shit work. Okay, this isn't really working out for me. Like, I'm doing okay, but definitely not making it big. And I'm very illegal here right now, right? Because of visa questions, right? But fuck it, double down. All right, cool. Let's get on to some TV shows. And I did. And then the TV shows turned into, I doubled down. And the TV shows turned into a record contract deal that I then turned down so that I could double down and do my own shit and completely change everything I was doing, because I just wasn't interested in doing it anymore. So that's actually when I started the Soul Player blog, and that has led to what I'm doing today, to all of this. So all of this these are all lessons that I learned then, and I still carry them with me now, and I still apply these all the time. You'll notice whenever you guys go out with me that all I do is I bring excitement and I bring energy, because excitement is the most important thing. Excitement also breeds attention, which is your currency whenever you're out and about. So you should absolutely do that. You'll also notice that I still set expectations all the time. Hell, even on these live streams, the first thing that I do is I tell you, this is our topic today. This is what you're going to be learning, and it's going to be a ton of fun. This is our expectation. You guys already know what it is, but I'm still setting the expectations from the get-go. That's what we do. Now, this future you, this one is a ton of fun. I still use this all the time, right? I still talk about the future, about what I'm building, about what I'm creating, about the projects that I'm working on. And you should always, always have a project. You're pushing through this. The logistics are everything. I've talked about this. I've talked this one to death, right? Logistics are king. And the better you can make your logistics, the easier your dating life is always going to be. And that status of any kind will always help you. Status will overcome most anything else. There's a reason why I use a shirt with my logo on it. There's a reason why we have the logo in the back as well. Because, yeah, we're just in my home office, right? We're just in a room of my house, of my apartment. That doesn't seem very fancy. It doesn't seem very official. All of a sudden, you pop up the poster, you put on the shirt, and now it looks official. Now it gives a little bit of status. Not much, but a little bit. That will help a lot. All of these things, you can do these things. You can apply these things. And always remember that if you're not sure what to do, double the fuck down. Any problem created through audacity can be solved with more audacity. So keep going. Don't stop. Don't let anything get in your way, and just keep on doubling down every single chance you get. Now, if you've made it this far, I would like to ask you a personal favor. Please hit that little thumbs up button just below the video right now. doesn't cost you a dime, and it helps me a ton. I would consider it a personal favor. So please and thank you. I do appreciate it. With that said, let's go ahead and bring in our peanut gallery, bring in our friends, and get you guys set up. Here, let's bring in Julius and Antonio, who are coming to join us, and adjust my setup a little bit. Let's get you angled down. That looks about right. Okay. And fucking hell. All right. Trying to get things set up so that they work. That'll do. How are you boys doing?
Good.
Yeah, you good?
Yep. How about you, Jack?
Did you just say I love you, Jack? Thank you. I love you too.
How about you, Jack? It was fun hearing you talk because I was like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I was there for that. Oh, yeah, I remember her. It was really fun.
Yeah, man, you were there. Julius was there for all of this stuff. He and I had actually just met the year before whenever I was working at that shitty job that I was forced out of for reasons. And I met him then, and so he was around for a lot of my busker antics and escapades too. You knew Bear, and Bear and Otter were both around the whole time then.
Yeah.
I think I had met both of them like
during that time.
Huh? No, I met both of them before. And
oh yeah, I remember Otter while you were still working at that one place.
Yeah, and Bear as well.
Okay. I met Bear later, but I remember Bear. I remember both of them.
Yeah, Bear was cool as shit, man. I liked Bear.
Yeah, it's funny. I like that. It's true. Like when you literally just like don't have anything, and women will still be attracted to you because you just own it. It's just the weirdest thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just completely owning it and being like, yeah, of course I have no money. I'm a fucking busker. What do you think?
Yeah. I remember, when I had the triple threat. I was broke, unemployed, and broken up with. And I was still meeting women. I was like, God. But it's because you have to offer them something in return. It's like, yeah, I don't have that, but I could do other things too.
Well, the reframe on this that I find very powerful is that if what you bring to the table is money, then you're replaceable by anybody who has money. But if what you bring to the table is excitement, is energy, is personality, then literally nobody can replace you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, I think that reframe
is you're part of that that's more excited than you.
Yeah.
I mean, about it. Of course. Yeah, very replaceable. It's a weird problem you see with guys with money is that the girl will just use him for all his money and then, she said, oh, you can't keep up with me? Well, I'll find another guy who has money. Or even less, but he offers something that he doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and jump into the questions. So we have a few questions that got
we definitely do.
Okay, so I'll let you take it away, buddy.
Yep. So the first question is, what do you think it says about female psychology that you could date girls while pretty much homeless? So basically, what do you think that sets their mind up to date you still, even in your situation, I guess, homeless situation?
I think it's less about female psychology and more about social structure and general human psychology. So let me explain what I mean. Human psychology is such that we will always want the thing that we don't have, whatever that is. If you're broke, then you want money. If you're famous, you want to be able to just fucking go to Olive Garden, nobody notice you, right? Like you want anonymity. Whatever we don't have is what we want. So in a society where everybody already has enough money, right? And women too, right? Women job for job, women end up getting paid more than guys do at the same job for the same work. So women have money and they have stability, but they're bored as shit. And so if what you're offering is money and stability, then she's not going to be that interested because she already has those things. But if you're offering excitement and she's bored, then you're the winner every time. Because that's way more important because that's what she wants. It's what she doesn't have. So whenever you're offering her something that she doesn't have or something that's exciting in this case, then she's
How
going
did
to
you how did you manage to come up with exciting or fun things to do every time? Like, isn't there like a limit to it, or did you just invent some sort of dates?
oh, that's a nice washing machine.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
I just pressed the thing and it just like weirdly changed it. Sorry about that, guys.
No, it's not about coming up with something fun or exciting every single time. Now you can do that. Stallion used to do that. Dude, he would put in effort and plan these dates that were like so extravagant and doing all these amazing things. Like I never bothered. The reason is because it doesn't have to be exciting to me. It has to be exciting to her. And if it's new
Yeah, that's
to
the
her,
thing.
then it's exciting, right? Like Vent, right? Julius remembers Vent. Vent was my favorite bar in Hongdae, and I would go there all the time. It was this tiny little shitty dive bar. It was awful. It was terrible. But every girl I brought there, it was her first time ever. She didn't even know that a bar existed there because of how hidden it was. But it was new to her. It was exciting to her. It's fun for her. And so it would come across as very exciting, even though to me it's like, right, well, this is just the 6th time I've been here this week. So it doesn't have to be exciting to me. I don't give a shit because I'm not bored, right? I'm not the guy who needs more excitement because I am the excitement, right? So
Did you like used to plan everything yourself, like while you were dating, or did you also let her do, some planning herself? Like, because I also see some guys that I don't know, they focus too much on this thing that women like splendors or this sort of thing. So I don't know how was the dynamic between your relationships like? Did you
I,
use like
I'm not a planner. I'm not a planner. Like I don't do that. I didn't do that for dates, and I don't do that now either. My plan is things like the rooftop picnic or something like that, or it's like, oh my God, have you seen Game of Thrones? No, you haven't. Okay, so here's the thing: is this is very culturally relevant. You need to come up because at the time, right, Game of Thrones was still new and it was still good back then.
basically you take what you have and make it exciting your own way for her?
Exactly.
Like,
I would just do the thing that I wanted to do, but then I would bring her in and I would present it as something very new or exciting or wonderful or whatever. But actually, that's just the thing that I wanted to do. So I'm going to do that thing.
yeah, I see. What about your experience, Julius? What your with your relationships? Did you used to plan stuff, or just what sort of happened that night with her? Let's see where we go tonight. Like, how did you used to do this stuff?
Good question. I think I put in more effort than Jack. Jack just,
Everybody
um,
gives it more effort than me.
yeah, which is not hard with what he would do. Yeah, I still remember Vent, but I like to, especially when I'm first dating a new girl, I like to introduce her to new things I know for a fact she's never done. And so because I know things like different parts of town that are more popular with foreigners like myself, I will take her to like Itaewon, which is like the foreigner part of town, and I'll take her to go have like Mexican food or Brazilian or like a nice Indian place I know, or we'll go to like this really nice park I know about, or just to have her try these new different things. If she likes beer, I'll take her somewhere. If she knows a good wine place, we'll go there. So I like to just kind of keep things going and surprise her with something that she's never done before. So I kind of like to go through the way of food to keep her happy, and it works all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Me personally, I don't know. The few days that I had were kind of boring because also inexperienced. But I will also used to do the classical stuff. The thing that Jax hates, like going to restaurants and stuff. Maybe if I remember correctly, the boring shit that you see in movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came up in my mind because of all that, how do you say programming through movies, you say relationships and stuff. That's what the first thing that popped out in my head.
Sure.
But yeah, I definitely, my struggle, I think, is trying to make what Jack does, actually, to make the thing interesting in that moment. Because you tell me that like you need to make things interesting for her, also depending on what you have, right? But sometimes I feel like I don't know how to do that, basically.
Well,
I know that there's a specific way to do that or to learn that, but I think it also depends on your creativity as a man, I guess, or as a
sure.
person.
Yeah, like I mean, aside from eating, I'll take her to like different kinds of places to where we can drink. So I try not to say the word bar when I take a girl out. I go, oh hey, I know this really cool place in this part of town. They have a really nice park outside, but we also have it has a really nice rooftop, and it gives you the best views of this part of Seoul, and you can see the best sunsets there. So you can do that in Yeonnam-dong, or you could do it like in Itaewon or something like that. Just don't say the word bar. So before that, I'll be like, hey, I know a really good Thai place. Let's take a walk here. Let's go up the mountain there, and then we'll go to this cool place I know where you can see the best views in Seoul. Or like for instance, like I've done with Jack, go to the roof, go to the swimming pool daytime party thing, and it offers something new and interesting because not only are you asking a girl to put on a swimsuit for the first time or a second time that she knows you, but you're going to be day drinking at the same time. And then because we're in that weird part of town, we could do something very different and fun. So maybe she won't like it, but she'll for sure remember it completely, and it will stand out to her as something just she's never done before. What do you think, Jack?
And yeah, I mean, I like all of that. Yes. Another strategy that you can use is, like I said earlier, about presentation makes or breaks deals. The way you present something can completely change her experience with it, even, right? Like her subjective experience can change entirely if you phrase it differently. Let me give you an example. I assume you guys have like wine bars in Italy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So, couple of options here, right? If we say to a girl like, "Hey, Francesca," oh, that reminds me. Let me remind me later, and I'll tell you the story about the two Francescas and how I almost had a threesome with those two Italian
Were they
friends
both Italian or?
in Hong Kong. That's a story for later. That's story time for after the cameras go off. But so, hey, Francesca, let's go to this wine bar and have drinks. Like, okay, it's fine, but it's not very exciting, right? Let's flip it up. Francesca, I have a very important question for you. What do you like, red wine or white wine? Go ahead and give me an answer, Antonio. What do you like, red wine or white wine?
Is it red wine?
Red wine? Okay. Oh, good. I just wanted to make sure that you were actually an adult, right? White wine is for children. We all know that. Okay, good. I'm glad that you like red wine because I know this wine bar down the street. They have a Shiraz that will make you believe in God. You're literally going to have an orgasm sitting there on your first sip. Okay. So here's what we're going to do is me and you, we're going to go down there. We're going to meet at this wine bar at 8 o'clock. Okay. And we're going to have the best wine you've ever tasted in your life. And it's going to be a night you will never forget.
Hey, can I be honest? The way you speak, you can also make a pile of shit look like gold.
Yeah, exactly. But like that's the point is that like if you just say let's go to the wine bar, there's no excitement there. There's nothing there. There's no story. But if you frame it the way that I just did, where it's like not only does she want to go there, but she's pumped. She's excited to go there.
So
Even though
I
it's shitty wine.
yeah, I did something similar. I remember I was like, hey, let's go to a bar and eat someone. Or I could be like, and I did this very recently. I was like, hey, have you ever been to Homo Hill? So it's at the gay part of town in Seoul. And she's like, no, what's that? I'm like, well, it's this hill with a bunch of gay bars on it. So this is what one of the best bars I know is actually on that hill. Why don't we go there? But while we're there, I want you to stand about 1 or 2 meters behind me because all the gay guys are going to come out and hit on me and try to get me to go to their bars. So it's actually a lot of fun. So you do that? We did that. I took her down the hill, and then all the gay dudes started coming out when she stood a meter or two behind me.
Yeah.
And they were to that place. And then we actually went to the good bar that was the only non-gay bar there. So if you build it up like that, it's a lot of fun. But if you just go, hey, I know a bar and it's also on the gay hill, then she's gonna be like, well, why don't we just go or add? Why don't we not go there? You know,
Yeah.
you gotta make it more exciting. Talk it up, spice it up a bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Definitely. So, yeah, I will definitely have to work on that. Yeah, for the second question, I really want, did you have a steady girlfriend while homeless? And if you did, do you think you would have a girlfriend?
Antonio, hear you.
Yeah, your connection's a bit iffy there, but I think that the question was, while you were homeless, did you have a steady girlfriend? And if not, do you think you could have had one?
Yeah.
Yes, I had.
You had multiples.
Yeah, I had like Otter and Bear were steady the whole time, and then there were a few girls as well who would stick around for like a few months at a time. I don't think I used the word girlfriend with them, but like because they were regular, right? They would come over once a week or so, and so about like girlfriends, right? The situation didn't. I assumed that the intent behind this question was whenever you're in like kind of an unstable or unsure situation, does that lend itself more toward unstable or unsteady relationship? Like, can you only get hookups at that time, or can you also maintain a good relationship throughout? And I don't think that it matters at all. I think that it just matters that you get them in with excitement and with energy, and then you keep them around through the connection that you build, through the things that you share, through the watching Game of Thrones together, or the rooftop picnic that she'll never forget, even though it's your third rooftop picnic this week, right? Like those things where you create connection there, where you create experiences together. That's how you keep someone around for a longer relationship. So it's the same whether you are permanently stable and you have everything figured out, or if you're fucking homeless. It's still the same concept.
I was never homeless.
No, but you've been broke, and like it's close enough.
Yeah, of course. Make do.
How do you manage to have an interesting relationship with your girls or broke? Like, I don't know, that might sound like a stupid question, but of course, more money equals more opportunities and stuff. Like,
I'm sorry, can you repeat? Like, your connection is really rough.
wait. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
That's better.
So I was saying, how do you manage to have an interesting relationship while you're also broke and having less opportunities? You know, like, I don't know about you, Jack, but you told me that you were homeless at one point. So I guess, how do you actually manage that? Aside from the rooftop thing, how did you manage to also constantly do that all the time? Even for new girls, for example.
Julius, did you understand his question there?
I think the gist is like basically how did you keep them interested while you were broke?
Okay. Because because they were dating future me, right? Because I would keep them interested by the things that I was doing, the projects that I had. Like I would send them the first draft recording of my new song, and I'd be like, "What do you think about it?" Right? Like, do you like this sound? Do you like this feel? What does this make you think of? I need help naming this song. Maybe you can help me come up with a title for this song or something like that. And they're interested because I'm making things, but also because it's clearly leading to something, right? Like they, at that point, right, if they're around for a while, then they know that like, oh, I'm writing songs so that I can release an album, that I can have my, because I've been on multiple different albums, but never my own solo album, like bands and stuff, sure. But I wanted to make my own album. So they know that I'm working on that and I'm making these songs and they're interested in that. They like the music video. They like the. Uh, I was on TV doing like audition programs and shows and stuff, and so to them that's crazy exciting. They're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, this guy that I'm. Well, I mean, he's not really my boyfriend, but he's kind of my boyfriend, and like he's on TV. You want to see? Like, okay, that's." She's excited to talk to her friends about me and about the things that I'm doing. That makes her want to stay. It always makes her want to stay.
You can't be a do nothing bum. So when I was going through that phase, and I'm glad Jack brought that up because it reminded me why she was interested in me. And
That's okay.
We'll come back. Basically, like the way I kept her interested was, for one, this was many years ago, like 10 years ago, probably. So I was a lot younger. I was working out 2 hours a day because I had so much free time, 2 hours a day, every day. Yeah. Right. And then I had just come back from traveling around Asia, right? So I'd been to all over Japan. I'd been to Thailand. I'd been to the Philippines. I'd been living in Korea for a few years at that point. And so when she was talking to me about this, and she was really into traveling. She was super impressed with us, right? And then I would tell her like, yeah, I'm not working at the moment, but I am applying to work, and I am going to go back to Korea. You know, I have things lined up. I'm just waiting on my background check and my visa documents to process. I'm literally just waiting for things to work so I could go back. So I wasn't like not working. If you ask Jack, I was literally just waiting for stuff to process, right? So I mean, it's like. And in the meantime, I was putting myself out there and dating and putting, reminding women like I'm not just a lazy bum who sits around playing a Mass Effect all day. I'm a guy who exercises 2 hours every day, and I'm waiting to go back to Korea, so to travel and work. So I mean, you could frame it one or the other way. Don't go with the lazy bum who sits around doing nothing. Go with the more exciting. I'm going to travel the world and work across the planet. Yeah. So that's what I would tell them.
I have a question. How long does it last before, like, they figure out that maybe it wasn't the case? For example, that you frame the thing that you're going to be with, right? But of course, let's say that doesn't happen. For example, would it just like immediately leave you, or like how?
If you're always moving, if you're always doing something, then it lasts forever, right? The trick to it is it's not a trick, right? It's not a con. You're always trying the next thing, whatever that is. It doesn't matter if it succeeds or not. All that matters is that you're doing things and you're constantly moving, right? The same way, like with my coaching business, right? Like, how long does the coaching business go before my wife realizes, oh, it's not perfect? Like, never. It never ends. We're always pushing. We're always moving forward. We're always trying new things. We're doing the live streams. We're doing the YouTube posts. We're doing these Instagram boosted posts. We're trying to open up group coaching. We're always creating new things and moving forward. So the answer is it lasts forever. It lasts until you give up, right? And you should never give up. Now you can stop doing things, right? If you're moving to another project, that's fine. Like, I stopped pursuing music as a job and now it's just a side hobby. But I replaced it by moving into the dating sphere, right? Like after I turned down the recording contract, I felt like, okay, cool, I've made it as a musician. I got to the top, which is being offered a permanent job as a full-time musician working for an entertainment company. That's the top. But the terms on the contract were absolute dog shit. So I was like, oh, well, that's what the music industry is. Cool. I'm not interested anymore. I'm moving into dating. And immediately dropped that thing and started the next project. But it's always making something, it's always building something, it's always creating something. And that means that it doesn't have an expiration date. It never finishes. It never ends. It's always going, no matter what, it's always going to be more interesting and more exciting than I go to work, I come home, I watch Netflix, I sleep, repeat, right? So no matter what it is you're doing, as long as you're always building something, you're always making something, it doesn't even have to succeed. It's still interesting and exciting and different. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so can you guys hear me well now, or just
Yeah,
have the?
it's better. It's better.
All right. So for I think the third question. Yeah.
You know, you guys pay so much fucking money in taxes. Surely somebody can make your internet actually work over there in Europe.
Yeah, I know this country is actually fucking corrupt. You know the fucking politicians sitting up to like they get 10K a month by sitting on a chair and sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the fucking thing. It's fucking
And
corrupt.
you have fucking 1992 AOL level internet. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry,
By the
what
way,
was the question?
for the third question, yeah. So, what are the bare minimum requirements for girls? Like body, do I need to work out? Just how much can you be as you have things or anything else you can think of?
Okay, so I got that question, Julius, and I'm actually going to let you field this one first because I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. What are the absolute bare minimums to be able to do well with women? Bare minimums whenever it comes to looks, to logistics, to anything else, to money, to muscle, whatever else. What do you think are the bare minimums to be doing well with women? Now, for the sake of this, I'm going to say doing well with women means either being able to have a steady long-term girlfriend who you actually like, or being able to hook up with at least one new girl a month, right? So that would be like our minimum threshold for doing well. What do you think the bare minimums would be for that?
I think there's the one thing that reigns supreme above looks, body, muscle, money, whatever, and that's being able to talk to them really well. Spitting game. Some guys are nearly 2 meters tall, extremely good. Can't get a girl. I've seen guys who are 100, I would say 68 centimeters to pull anyone because they just have that gift of anyone and pulling them in. Like Stallion, for instance, our friend, he's part of this community too. He just and he's not an ugly dude, but he's not very tall either, right? So I think that it's just being able to talk. You can get any of them, regardless of the way you look, regardless of how fit or unfit you are, or any. None of that matters. It's just. What do you think, Jack?
I
think that's it.
I do think that there is a bare minimum in terms of looks, but it's not what most guys think it is. All right, let me give you an example. One of my professors back at university, back in college, he was a music history professor, and the dude was fat. Like not like jack fat. Like the dude was fat, but he dressed in a way that made it look like he was a fucking Scottish dancer, and he had this long, luxurious hair, and he had like a fucking rock and roll beard. And even though he was like 50 and about 300 pounds, it didn't matter. I saw him out at bars a few times, and he was slaying. He was picking up girls left and right. So the look, yeah, he was fat. He was very out of shape, but his look was intentional, right? His look was something he chose, and he crafted and created, and that met the bare minimum standards for looks. Now, if you're fat, but you look like you just fucking read manga comics all day long, then it doesn't work well, right? So fat and nerdy looking doesn't work. But fat and intentional, fat and the life of the party can make it can make it not matter at all.
Sure.
The guy brought energy. He brought so much energy. He was funny, and he would call out bullshit in an instant, no matter who said it. He had no tolerance for stupidity or for bullshit. And so he would call it out. So he had personality going for him. He was engaging, fun to talk to. The guy slayed. So, like what Julius was saying, he had game, regardless of how he looked. But the important thing here is that his looks were intentional. So even though in a traditional standard, he didn't meet the bare minimum requirements for looks, but he did because he owned it, right? And so whenever it comes to bare minimum on these things, if you can package it, present it well, if you can own it, then it doesn't matter. I do that all the time. Whenever we go out, I always, like I make fun of my own beer belly all the time, right? Even like when we're talking to girls, I point it out and I own it and I make fun of it. And I'll even tell some girl, I'm like, she's about to go to the bar to get another drink or something. I'm like, wait, you have to rub the beer belly for good luck. And she laughs and she runs it. Okay, cool. You own the situation, and then it kind of doesn't matter. Now, would it be better for me? Would it be easier if I actually got fit and lost the beer belly, put on a little bit of muscle and looked better? Yeah, of course it would. But you don't have to. It makes it easier. Looking good makes all the other things easier. However, you can overcome basically any looks with the other things as well. Think about it like a balance, right? Like a scale, right? And if your looks are way down here, but you have no personality, then everything's out of balance and it doesn't work. But if you can load that bad boy up with a shit ton of personality, then it brings your looks back into not matter, right? And you can load it up even more, then the looks don't matter at all, right? It's like Elon Musk can look however the fuck he wants, man, right? Donald Trump can look however the fuck he wants. And women still just want to be around him. Why? Because of all the other things, right? It's not just because of the money, it's because of all the other things. Because there are rich people who nobody wants to be around, right? Like, women aren't fucking pining after Warren Buffett, even though he's rich as hell, right? He has no personality, he's boring as shit. So it's important that you understand what you have to offer, and that you're realistic about it, and then you figure out how to rebalance that equation so that it works in your favor. Same thing on logistics. If your logistics, and Julius, you remember when I was living in Italian out in the middle of fucking nowhere, right? Oh, good news, boys. Paul made it. Hey, okay, good. So, you remember when I was living out in the middle of nowhere, and we would, Stallion and I would have to sell the shit out of that place because the logistics were so bad. But here's the thing is that we could do it, and we would present it in a way that made it seem awesome. It made it seem like an adventure, like a getaway, right? And then the girls would come and they would join in. What the fuck is happening with his internet?
I didn't know Italian internet was so bad.
dude, it's awful. Like it's giving us all this like staticky feedback and stuff. Antonio, I see you there. Here's what we're gonna do because of the sound and the connection issues. We're gonna bring you in for questions, and whenever we finish things. And so, if you have questions while we're talking, then write down your thoughts or just remember them, and we'll bring you in every now and then for that. Okay? Does that work for you? All right, cool, awesome. So yeah, regarding the bare minimums on logistics.
Yeah, the sound is Caesar that's having that weird wobbly sound in the background.
Is that's from Julius?
Yeah, it is from Caesar.
Okay,
That's why I muted you.
but I'm still hearing it.
Yeah, now he's muted.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, then we'll do the same thing as like Julius. I guess I don't know, just like wave or something whenever you have something to throw in, and we'll bring you back in because it's making a lot of weird sound distortion for some reason tonight. So anyway, whenever I was living out in the middle of nowhere, we would. I guess he's gonna reconnect.
Yeah, probably.
So when I was living out there, the logistics were shit, but I was able to sell it in different ways, right? Like I was able to say, "Oh yeah, my place it's only 5 stops from Hongdae," and that was exciting to them. Now it's 5 stops on the airport line, where each stop is like 10 to 15 minutes, but it was only 5 stops from Hongdae, and then it was another bus ride from the station to get into the city. But by that point, it didn't matter, right? It was selling them on the experience, on coming out there. So the bare minimums. By the way, Paul, the question that we had was, what are the bare minimums to be able to do well with women in terms of looks, logistics, anything else? I think that the most important thing is, like Julius said earlier, though, getting your game sorted out, being able to talk well with them, being able to find ways to connect, being able to lead a conversation, to bring it up and down. Benching 225. You think that's the minimum? Okay, cool. Let's try bringing them back in.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm using my phone this time.
Oh, that's
So
better.
much better.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
I didn't know that was my tablet. What a piece of shit. Sorry about that, guys.
It's all good, man. But now we have all the connections fixed. This is great.
Well, Antonio, did you like change countries? Why's your connection so good?
Yeah.
Me? No, I just changed rooms. I guess I have two router Wi-Fi, so I changed the router. That's the
Oh,
thing.
okay. That makes sense.
Use this one always. This one works.
Yeah. You should like throw away the other router.
Yeah, I probably will. Honestly, the other one is shit. My Wi-Fi is shit generally, but here I am, I guess. Now it works.
Huge difference. Huge difference.
Much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you see me skipping or something? Like also with the quality of the video? I don't know what you saw, honestly. I just thought.
It was just
the quality of the video and the audio were awful before.
Yeah, it was like early 2000s webcam.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm good, I guess.
Yeah, now it's much better.
It's perfect. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
All right.
Paul, what you think? What do you think are like the minimums to do well with women?
The minimum to do well with women. It's a really good question. Really hard to define though. I would say like the first and probably most important thing is do well with yourself. Because if you are in a state where you are happy with who you are and the person you are, that kind of radiates this kind of aura of, if not self-confidence, at least self-happiness. And that is contagious to the people around you. So the second you're happy with yourself, you will notice that everyone else starts paying a lot more attention to you as well.
Yeah.
If you think about it, most problem with dating a relationship is it's not even it all comes down to who the man in question is, his personality and stuff. A lot of guys, I feel like they will need first personality thing to build, right? Like they will need to build their personalities first in order to get to dating, because in terms of effort and what you have to bring into the table, if the guy is rich, like Jack said, it doesn't even matter because if he competes with money, someone from some other day with more money will just come in and get the girl. So I think it's a lot of work for a lot of guys that either do not have like a big personality, or maybe they haven't worked on it long enough in order to be able to sustain a relationship or a good lasting one at least. I don't know about how Jack feels about this. Like, what do you feel is the biggest, you know, block that most guys can deal with when trying to get a girl or try to dating girls and stuff? What's the worst thing?
Most guys, they one of the biggest issues that a lot of guys run into is that they have a concept in their head of trying to make a girl like them, right? And so because of that, they say like, oh, well, I should talk to girls differently than I talk to guys, and I should act differently, and I shouldn't show her these parts of me, and I shouldn't do these things around her and stuff like that. And it creates this terrible incongruence in them because they are being fake. They'll say something like, "Oh, I'm just being myself," and it's like, no, you're absolutely not, right? Like you're trying to be this curated fake version of yourself, but it's not real, and girls can smell that shit from a mile away. And then what happens as a result is they try to talk to girls, but like I said, because they're like they're not talking to girls. They think that it's a separate thing. That talking to girls is different from talking to guys. And so they're basically they revert back to like first grade level, and they're like, I like dinosaurs. Do you like dinosaurs? Right? And like, what's your favorite candy? Who gives a shit, man? Like, stop being so weird, right? Just being normal. Calm down, relax, let your shoulders down, and just talk like you normally do. That's the biggest mental block that most guys have, especially early on, is that they think they need to do things differently around women. And the truth is that you don't at all. You're much better served. You're better served by acting the same way you do with guys than if you try to create like a different version of how you talk and how you act. Right? I think that's actually the biggest block that most guys have is that mental block of but girls are different, or like but I don't want to screw this up, but I don't want to lose this one. Oh, but what if I was talking with a client earlier today, and he was saying like, oh, this is a new client, and he was like, I want to talk to this girl, but like if I ask her out, then wouldn't it make her feel uncomfortable if she says no? And I'm like, dude, you're just making fucking excuses, right? You're just making shit up in your head to not talk to her because you think it's different, because you think it's special. You wouldn't have that same thought about talking to a guy, right? If you wanted to hang out with a guy and you were like, hey man, you want to come over and play Call of Duty or whatever the fuck it is, and he was like, oh no, I'm good, man. You wouldn't be like, oh, but maybe he's gonna feel uncomfortable for it now. Like, who gives a shit, right? Doesn't matter. You wouldn't even think about that. So don't do that. The more you talk to people, turns out it gets easier every time. Yeah, absolutely, Crow. Absolutely. Talking to people, and women are people, at least legally speaking. So just talk to them like people, right? That's what you have to do. Just break those fucking barriers down. It's not different. It's not special. It's not a fucking Disney movie. It's just talking to people. What do you boys?
Disney movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like the biggest blocker people have is that they think they need to act differently.
That's
Like
how I messed up my first crush. Sorry.
it kind of goes back to what I said answering the last question too. Like you have to find yourself and be yourself, and that self should be the same if you're alone, if you're with guys, if you're with older people than if you're with girls.
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't change a bit. Yeah, maybe with like the oldest generation, you speak a little more politely because if not, you're gonna get your ass whooped. But other than that, everything is the same.
But polite is fine, right? And like I've talked a little bit about this before about like the different versions of yourself that you show. Like that's fine. You show a part of yourself when you're at work. That's different than when you're hanging out with your friends. That's fine. But both are honest and both are real. Both are congruent. Both still at the core level, they are still true to you. But then the second that that same guy tries to talk to a girl, he's like, "Oh, but I don't know what to say. I don't know how to talk." And it's like, okay, well, stop fucking doing that thing, right? Just talk. Just be normal, right? Just talk to her like a person. If you're at a bar, talk to her like you would talk to anybody else in the bar. If you're on a train, talk to her like you would talk to anyone else on a train. If you're at work, talk to her like you would talk to anyone else at work, right? Whatever the situation is, just fucking talk to her like normal. But I think Paul brought up a really good point there about learning about yourself and understanding. And then I want to take that one step further and point out that you can, if you're being really honest with yourself about who you are, about your flaws, as well as about your good side as well. You know, what are you good at? Everybody's good at something, right? If you're being honest with yourself about things, then there are going to be things about you that are not good. And then you have the choice to either choose to change them and actively change them, or to accept them as they are and own it completely. Not be ashamed of it, not be embarrassed about it, but just fucking own it. This goes back to what I was saying earlier about the beer belly, where it's like, I know, I'm aware, right? I'm not fucking in denial here, but I don't have it is not high enough on my priority list for me to change this. So it's a thing that I just completely accept. I understand it, and then I own it. Now, if it drove me crazy, or if I felt really self-conscious about it, or if I felt really ashamed about it, it would negatively impact the way that I talk to other people, because it would ruin my confidence. And I wouldn't want them to look at it, and I wouldn't want them to notice it and things like that. So it would naturally change the way that I talk. Instead, I have to go the other direction and completely own it and accept it for what it is. Those are your options, but you have to either own it or change it. Those, you have to do one or the other. You cannot be ashamed of the thing and not be actively trying to change it. Right?
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't know about the other guys' experiences. Maybe Paul, like with your first maybe dates or so. Did you still act this way? Maybe that you try to build a personality of your own, trying to get by or maybe get the girl that you liked.
I think I didn't change much. I became more extroverted for sure. But I think that was, first of all, it was something like I looked at myself and yeah, I am way too introvert in general. And then the way I actively changed it was that I started hanging out with Caesar and Jack, and like they were dragging me out 4 or 5 days a week. Like my social battery, like the first month I was in Korea after meeting them, was like, I don't think my social battery was over 10% at any given point. But I still went out. I still forced myself to go out every single time they asked, and went out every weekend, both Fridays and Saturdays, and just talk to people and get comfortable with this new version of me, like the person that actually goes out every day and meet people every single day. And then other than that, I was, due to my, maybe other things that I did to change was I I used to have a very laid back style whenever I didn't go to work. So I would wear slack pants, I would wear oversized hoodies and just look like a bum. And then what I did is, since I'm a consultant, I had to look presentable whenever I went to the office. So I just, okay, fuck it, I'm just gonna be wearing this all the time. And then that fixed that part, and then I felt completely comfortable with who I was, and then it kind of just rolled off.
So basically, you went from introverted to extroverted just by hanging out with the most extrovert person you know on earth, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta be honest. Jack is an art piece. If you think about it, I've never seen anyone as extroverted as he is.
The
You know
thing is,
what?
after getting to know Jack, I've started meeting other people that are equally extroverted. Like, because
Yeah,
before, like, whenever you're an introvert, you would actively avoid that group of people. But once you actually start like becoming more extrovert, you start to notice other extroverts too, in a way, very different way than before.
Yeah. Julius, who's that guy that Korean guy who's fucking wild? Was his name like Kevin or something?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cocaine Kevin? Yeah.
yeah.
Cocaine Kevin is he's so much energy that even I'm like, whoa, dude, like, let's take this down a notch because he's fucking on a rocket ship to Mars 24/7.
Oh yeah. Wow, yeah, that's true. That's the only hour I'm like, all right, I need a I need to leave. I need to chill out. No, that's true. Yeah, but he's cool. Once you get him to calm down and such, he's actually a pretty cool guy. But yeah, I think in regards to like when I first started dating, it took me a while to really just kind of figure it out. And I think one thing too is to kind of find someone that you're comfortable being yourself around too at the start. Because if I'm not comfortable being myself with her, then what am I doing? I'm just putting myself in a position where I'm just gonna be weird and nervous and not being able to kind of just like express myself or carry a conversation. So like, why do that to myself? I need to find someone where I can do that. So eventually, like, you can put me in a room with any fucking weird ass woman, I'll make it work. But at first I had to work up to the point where I could get myself to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point as well. And
Sure.
early on, it's totally natural because like whenever you first start dating, especially when you're young, like you don't know yourself.
No.
You've never had the opportunity to try and find yourself. For the first 25 years of your life or so, you're just on rails, right? You're just following the thing that you do. This is just the thing that you do. And then this is just the next thing that you do. And you have no real agency. You have no real control. If there are no decisions to make, then you don't know who you are because you've never had to make a decision to figure out like, oh, I'm the kind of person who will do this thing. Right. But once you get a little bit more, I hate this term because it sounds so fucking condescending, but once you get more life experience, meaning once you just do more shit, once you make more mistakes, but also you succeed at more things, once you have choices to make and you're like, oh, I see. Every time that I'm in this situation, I fuck it up. Wow, that's my personality type. I'm the kind of person who does this thing, but also in this situation, I always get things right. For example, I'm the kind of person who, if you leave me alone and just leave me to my own devices with no responsibilities at all, I will get blind drunk pretty much all the time. So I need to have boundaries that I have to create for myself of like, okay, cool, but you have to be up to do this thing. Okay, but you have to get these videos created or edited by this time. You have to, I create deadlines for myself so that I don't just fucking drink because I understand my personality type. But on the more positive side, I also know that no matter the circumstance, I will survive and I will find a way to not just survive, but also thrive. Like when I was a homeless busker, right? Like I had lost that job and I had no visa and no home and like everything was tits up fucked. But not only did I make it through, but also it was like the happiest 8 months of my life up till that point, right? Like, I had a great time. So I know that about my personality, about myself. Again, that just comes from having been in those situations and then being able to see, oh, that's how I act. That's the thing that I do. And so once you know more about yourself and you have a better idea of your positive qualities and your negative qualities, then you can actually start to own them and build them into stuff. But at your age, you're like what, 20, 21, right? Like it's hard to know who you are because like you've never had to yet, but you will.
Yeah, it's a lot of trial and error and just trying to figure out what I think you want. That's one thing that women would tell me when I first started dating. One of them actually told me, "You don't know what you want."
Yeah.
And I think that's one important thing to kind of figure out. Like, well, I want a relationship, or I want to do this, or I want to fuck. Like, it's to make that intent clear from the start.
Yeah. But they were also right in that, like, when you're young, you actually don't know what you want.
Yeah, I mean, there's like my older brother was older, but he didn't teach me anything. My dad didn't teach me anything about like dating. You know, I'm not gonna ask him. That's weird. Or I didn't have a lot of friends that would date. You know, and if they would, they were so far beyond that point. Like one of my closest friends when I was growing up, he had gotten this girl pregnant at like 17. So like, you know, what am I gonna ask him? Like, how do I get a girl pregnant? Like, I don't want to do that. You know, at 17, that's stupid. You know, so it's hard to. I think a good thing to do is to find someone who's dating, but not so far beyond a point to where like it's hard to relate to them. Like if you have a married friend, for instance, talk to someone who's dated or currently has a girlfriend that they've had for a few months, and be like, hey, what are you doing, right? To see if you can learn something from that person.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's actually a really good point, is that oftentimes finding somebody who's just one or two steps ahead of you can be the biggest help, because somebody who's like already finished the race, it can be difficult to relate to them, right? And like, even though I do this for a living, there are so many things that I forget that I didn't know back then, right? And so whenever somebody is brand new to dating or to dealing with women, and they're like, Jack, what do I need to do? Then I'm like, oh, well, you know, you do these things. And they're like, I don't even know what those fucking words mean. I don't know. I don't understand. What does that mean? Talk to her normally. What is that? I'm like, okay, you're right. Yes, I forget that I didn't know these things at 22 either, right? And
Right.
and seriously, so like as I'm giving like these different lessons and stuff, and I'm trying my best to get people from where they are to where they want to be, but it can be tough because I'm not still there, and it's not a problem that I have just recently solved. So somebody who's just a step or two ahead of you on their journey might be better to solve your most immediate problems and questions because they've just figured that out, right? All right, cool. Questions? Any other questions, guys in the live chat? If y'all have questions, type them in. Or Antonio, if you have any more, then I'm happy to field them.
No, regarding questions, no, I don't think so. What I could ask you is, when you were younger and you were a little bit more, inexperienced,
Mm-hmm.
like maybe you had your first struggles with women and stuff. Did you were you always this extroverted, or did you have to work for your personality, to build your personality in order to, be able to actually try and get girls in the first place? Like, based on your experience, or did it just come off of you easily because of your personality type?
I was always extroverted, but I was really, really bad at flirting when I was younger. Like in my early to late 20s. So from about like, I would say like 19 to maybe I had it figured out well by like 28 or so. So like for that whole decade, I was shit at flirting with girls because I had the belief in my mind that if women knew my intent, then they would run away. They wouldn't be interested. And so I was like constantly friend zoned, and I would chat with girls, but I wasn't leading conversations well, like making them intentional. I was having fun. I was having conversations with girls. I was talking with them, and sometimes I would even like get their phone number or something. But then it never turned into anything because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I had no idea, and I was terrified of showing a girl that I had either sexual or romantic intent. And it wasn't until I got past that like, oh, wait, this works so much better, right? Like, but I had to break that barrier down on my own. And that's one of the reasons that I started coaching, because like I'm not telling you anything that you can't figure out on your own. I'm just saving you 10 years, right? Like I can teach you in a weekend what I had to learn over 10 years. And so if you want, you can do it on your own like I did, but it takes a long time, and you don't even know what mental blocks you have, because it's just your it's like on a phone or something. It's the pre-programmed software, right? It comes installed. And so you don't know that there are other options. You don't know that there are other things, right? It's just the thing that you have. And so breaking those things down is really, really difficult to do on your own. But once you do, then you're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Yeah, of course, right? And so I would get friend zoned all the time.
When will you give us a body count reveal?
Body count reveal. I So the actual truth behind that is I don't know for sure. Like I lost count. I don't know, in the triple digits somewhere, right? Like I don't know for sure. I have an estimate of about where it is.
I'm sure it's not 4 digits or.
No. Jesus, man. Like I don't have the time or the energy for that kind of shit. Like I'm not trying to put up Wilt Chamberlain numbers here. No, but well into the triple digits. Enough that I know what I'm talking about. But also the body count has stopped, right? I'm old, I'm married, and honestly, I just don't care about these young bitches anymore. I have very little patience for them, if I'm being honest. I still have fun whenever we go out, and like whenever we're out at the bar or whatever, like I'll still flirt and I'll play around and I'll have a good time. But in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking like, dude, this is so fucking boring, right? Because once you start to succeed regularly, then you're basically on a script with variations, of course, but it's mostly a script. Like I know exactly what to say whenever a girl asks how old I am to get the highest level of success from it. I know exactly what joke to make. I know exactly how to relate it to her. I know exactly how to And so I'm basically saying the same things again and again every time that I talk to these girls, because it works, right? And like the other things don't, because I've tried them all. And so it's not that exciting to just do the same shit every single time. It would be like if every single week I gave the exact same lesson every single week, right? Like I'd be very good at it, but it would be boring as fuck for me and for you guys. But for whoever saw it for the first time, it would look so polished and so perfect to them. It would be engaging and captivating and all that. Same thing here. Because every time that I meet one of these girls, these new girls, to them, it's so fun. But to me, it's robotic, right? It's the same shit because it works.
Yeah, basically he's just flexing right now. But
No, God, I'm come out with me and you'll see what I mean. I don't mean any of this as a flex. I'm weirdly, despite my extroversion and like kind of over the top and braggadocious nature, I don't brag about things. Like I don't think that it's effective and it makes you look bad. So I hope that you don't take any of this as a brag or flexing at all. It's just this is just the result of all the other bullshit. That's all.
yeah, no, I understand. I'm over with the question, honestly. I don't know about Paul or Julius.
I'm sorry, about what?
I think he said he was all out of questions.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Awesome. That's perfect. Cool. Then in that case, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So once again, for those of you watching, thank you so much for sticking around, for watching. If you haven't done it yet, please hit the little thumbs up button, hit the like button. It means a lot to me. It really helps the channel a ton. And hit the subscribe button if you haven't done it yet, because then it'll notify you every week whenever we go live, when something's coming up, when we post new videos, which we're doing now regularly. So go ahead and hit the button, and really appreciate you guys watching. Very special thank you to Antonio, Julius, and Paul, who left work early to join us today. What a fucking hero. Love you, dude. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. Really appreciate it. Ton of fun to talk today. I had a great time, and I hope you all did as well. So until next time, Jim.